What's up, Silver and Black Nation? Coming up on this episode of the Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings edition, we'll be talking about the Kings. They find their man. They hire a brand new head coach. So we'll talk about that. Ontario Reign swept out of the Calder Cup playoffs. And we'll also go ahead and take a look at the Stanley Cup Conference Finals. And whatever else you want to comment, throw it out there. We'll be live, and I'll read all your comments, and we'll discuss that and much, much more. I will be back in 45 seconds. What's up, Silver and Black Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair LA Kings edition. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. Thirsty Thursday is upon us. Speaking of which, sip of iced tea for the working man. We got a comment to kick the show off here. We got our boy Adam the Answer Glenn checking in. What's up, Adam? How you doing this fine, stormy, rainy Thursday morning? I'll tell you what, man, there were some storms that just rolled through here about an hour ago. You know, lots of trees down. Poles, a town a couple miles over, they have some utility poles down. So streets flooded. It was just quick too. It was, all over, through within 15 minutes, and death and destruction upon us. No, not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. All right, so let's kick this show off with something I just started doing yesterday, something new, out-of-the-box scores. So I'll read off the scores from last night through all the major sports, and we'll go from there. So yesterday in Major League Baseball, early game, the Cleveland Guardians swept my pitiful New York Metropolitans 6-3. The Mets had 3 solo home runs, but that was not enough. Andre Jimenez also had a 3-run homer for the Guardians. That's his 4th of the season. In the suspended game from yesterday, the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Orioles 3-1. The second game, I don't know. I guess you wouldn't. I don't know if you'd call it a doubleheader or not because it wasn't a full game. But St. Louis beat Baltimore again 5-4. I think that completed a series sweep, but I could be wrong. Minnesota defeated the Washington Nationals 3-2. A couple home runs from Kepler and Carlos Correa. Both of them, that's their 4th of the season. The Angels defeated Houston 2-1. Kyron Parrish gets his first Major League home run. It was a 2-run shot, and that was the difference in the game there. Kansas City beat Detroit 8-3. Miami beat Milwaukee 1-0. That's another shutout for Miami. They've had quite a few shutouts over the last 2 weeks, like 3 or 4. Pretty impressive for a pitching staff that wasn't looking very good. San Diego beat Cincinnati 7-3. The Giants beat Pittsburgh in 10, 9-5. Philadelphia beat the Rangers 11-4. Bryce Harper had a bomb up into the second. Well, I guess it hit off the facing of the second deck. Boston beat Tampa Bay 8-5. The Blue Jays beat the White Sox 9-2. The Yanks beat the Mariners 7-3. Juan Soto had 2 home runs. And people are chanting MVP. We're only in May yet. Atlanta beat the Cubbies 9-2. Colorado beat the Athletics 4-3-12. If those poor fans of both those franchises haven't endured enough, they have to sit through a couple extra innings. That's terrible. I feel bad for them. And to round out Major League Baseball from yesterday, the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers 6-0. So the Diamondbacks laying the wood to the Dodgers there before the Dodgers fly into New York to face my beloved Metropolitans. Actually, I think they play San Francisco first, then the Dodgers. Playoffs last night, NHL playoffs. Florida shut out the Rangers. The Panthers shut out the Rangers 3-0. They had goals from Kachuk, Verhaeghe, and Bennett. Bennett's was an empty netter. The Verhaeghe goal was an own goal on Lafreniere. Tough one. I don't know what to say about it. I didn't watch the game. I was watching the highlights, and I looked like Igor was trying to clear the puck up the boards or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but it went straight off the board, started coming back, and it looked like it looked to me like Lafreniere was trying to send it back behind the net, but didn't realize kind of where he was and just shot it into the net. That's what it looked like. I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but it is what it is. Shit happens. That's why it's a 7-game series. It's only one game. So Ranger fans, just deep breath. Sergei Bobrovsky, the goalie for the Florida Panthers, he gets the shutout, and he had 23 saves. In the NBA last night, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals there. Dallas beat Minnesota 108-105. Big nights from Luka Doncic. He had 33 points. He had 15 of those came in the fourth period. And Kyrie Irving, there we go. Old man Kyrie. He had 30 points. 24 of those 30 came in the first half. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Jaden McDaniels, he had 24 points. And Karl Anthony Towns, he paced behind with 16. So that's your sports, out-of-the-box sports scores from last night. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on with the Kings now. So the Kings, they get their coach. They hire a brand new coach. I guess brand new old coach, whatever, however you want to look at it. They stick with Jim Hiller. And if you watched last week's episode, that's what I said the most likely outcome in my mind was that they would rehire. They wouldn't rehire. They'd hire Hiller because he came in as an interim coach when Todd McClellan was fired back in February. So they bring Jim Hiller in as the interim coach. He goes 21-12-1. And like I said last week, the only thing that management really, the only, I don't want to say stipulation, the task laid out before, there we go. The task laid out before Jim Hiller when he was named interim coach was get them to the playoffs, get the Kings to the playoffs. And he did that, going 21-12-1. He was kind of fortunate enough to kind of fall onto the Kings' softer part of their schedule throughout the season there. The second half of the season after the All-Star break, did see the Kings playing the Blackhawks more often, the Ducks more often, Minnesota Wild, who I thought was a better team than a lot of people give them credit for. So teams like that. And so he kind of benefited from that, you can say. You would hope that Todd McClellan probably would have done the same. But, Todd didn't do anything to keep his job. To be honest with you, in my opinion, Todd, as much as it sounds, crappy, deserved to be fired. It just, things were taking a quick nosedive after a stellar start to the season. They started, I think it was 29-5. They started off 29-5 this season, one of the best teams in the league. And like I said, it was just a quick nosedive after that. And he wasn't doing anything to kind of stop the bleeding. That's what it seemed like anyway. Whereas if you watch Jim Hiller coach, a lot of, line combinations, moving guys here, moving guys there, sticking with Talbot, especially down the stretch, and, instead of, pulling right away and giving a bunch of starts to Rittich. So that's one thing to show that your goalie, that you're confident in his play. And he played well down the stretch. It seemed like Cam Talbot, in my opinion, it seemed like Cam Talbot probably benefited the most out of the out of the coaching change. And I don't know why that is. I'm not really sure. That's just what it seemed like. That's what it felt like because he almost pretty much returned to form, early season form after Jim Hiller took over. Pierre-Luc Dubois, first dozen games or so when Hiller took over, he looked like the Pierre-Luc Dubois that we were expecting. But then after that, back to the same old, same old. So we'll see what he can do to kind of get PLD going. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of schemes that he's going to be able to bring in. Because when he took over halfway through the season, he wasn't going to change anything. Maybe some tweaks here or there, like I said, with the line combinations and stuff like that. But there wasn't going to be a massive overhaul. From everything I heard from former players that are now analysts and stuff like that, breaking it down back when Hiller took over and stuff like that, and even at the end of the season, there wasn't a whole lot he could do besides still roll with what was already in place. They said usually when there's a scheme change, it takes almost a good 10 to 12 games before the team actually gets it down well enough where it looks good, it flows well, and that's just 2 weeks of games that the Kings could not afford to lose. So kind of just float the same old, and tinker with the line combinations and go like that. Calling up some younger guys, getting some younger guys in there, and using the options and stuff. I got a couple of comments here. Adam, the answer says, I'm good. I don't like the rain. It cooled it down, Adam. Last night at work, when it was raining, it was humid. It was very moist out. It's a popular word, moist. It was very moist out. But this rainstorm that came through here really cooled things down. And he also says, go Phillies. Eileen says, hello, Mr. Batfry. Hello, Eileen. La, la, la. That's a Seinfeld reference if you don't know. We got Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Check it in. What's up? Are you surprised? Rangers. Are you surprised Rangers go? Probably from last night, getting shut out. I'm not too surprised. It's only game one. I think the surprising thing was the shutout, and with it being a home game, at the Garden, Madison Square Garden, that's surprising to get shut out there. But I'm not surprised. Florida's a very good team. They're a very good defensive team. They don't allow a whole lot of shots to get through their defense, and Bobrovsky's no joke. He's won hardware as a goalie and stuff like that. It escapes me the name of the goalie trophy. Or and when they were on they made it to the Stanley Cup last season. I'm trying to remember if he won if he won anything last year, or was it the year before? I don't know, but I think it's called the Vezina Trophy. That's what I was trying to think of. But Bobrovsky's no joke in net, and so I think they're gonna. I can see Florida relying heavily on their defense, and Bobrovsky just being hot and staying hot. So I'm not too surprised, but Paul Spencer, he finishes it off. Are you surprised Rangers fell 3-0 in game one at home? Shocked me. Again, at home, I think that's a surprising part. But falling in game one, 3-0. I don't know. I just don't find that too surprising. Florida's a good defensive team, and you take away that own goal. Maybe it's 2-0. With an empty netter. So I know that the Rangers pulled Igor, really early. I think it was 4 minutes to go, or 4 minutes to go. I've never throughout these playoffs, I've never seen at the end of the season as well, leading up to the playoffs, I've never seen goalies pulled so early for that extra attacker, and you've seen it backfire a bunch of times, and you also seen it work a bunch of times. So it makes sense if you have a really good power play group. So like teams like the Oilers, which are fantastic on the power play, it really benefits them to do stuff like that, and they do. Or even teams that are down, when they end up with in a power play situation up 5 on 4, they pull their goalie when they're down to get a 6-on-4. Two extra attackers. So that makes a ton of sense right there. In my opinion, it's probably not just my opinion, but most people's opinion anyway. But I wasn't overly shocked. A little bit shocking, like I said, with it being at the Garden, and but the score and losing now. The Panthers are for real. They're a really good team. They've been a good team, pretty much all season. They just took down the Bruins, who are another excellent team. So not overly surprised. A little bit surprised. We'll stick with that one. All right. So Hiller hired. He finished the season off 21-12-1, which is kind of funny. As I said before, with Todd McClellan starting the season off 29-5, 20 wins, 9 losses, and 5 overtime losses. That's how the season started for Todd McClellan, and then it went downhill in January fast. Well, Jim Hiller has the same exact amount of points in the same amount of games. Or no, I guess it was 2 points off. McClellan in 34 games had 45 points, and in 34 games for Hiller, he had 43 points. So almost identical. And one of the things I think that really killed the Kings this past season, especially Tom McClellan, was all the overtime losses. I think they ended up with 11 or 12 overtime losses. And you see Hiller, he only had one of those. The rest were all on Todd McClellan. That's just the overtime, group, the 3v3, our 3 we'd put out there. They looked lost a lot of times. They looked like crap. Then when it came to the shootout, our guys suck at a shootout. Apparently, it's just, quite a few times. I don't know exactly how many, maybe half the time that it would go to shootout. Kings wouldn't have a chance. It just get outclassed, and either by the goalie or by the other team scores or whatever. But the Kings were not good in the overtime period. They were not good in shootouts. So that's something they really need to look at. And they also need to look at the power play, and that's something that I read. Jim Hiller's one of his trademarks. To each destination that he's gone to. He's gone to I think it was Toronto, the Islanders, and I can't remember. Was it San Jose? But anyway, his trademark was the power play. Making the power play better. Figuring the issues out the power play. So it's kind of exciting to see that our power play did get better under Jim Hiller. For the most part, for the first half of the season, the Kings were like late teens, early 20s in the power play, and they end up finishing low teens or around 12 or so, 12 or 11. So they did much better under Jim Hiller on the power play, which was great to see. Also Kings are expecting to retain DJ Smith, who when Jim Hiller was announced as the interim coach after McClellan was fired. His first business was bringing in DJ Smith, who was fired by the Ottawa Senators. He was their coach, and he was fired, I guess, maybe a week before he came on staff with Jim Hiller. So he's expected to stick around as an assistant. And Trent Yawney, he and the Kings, they mutually parted ways. I guess it seems like there might have been some sour grapes. He was a little bit pissed that he wasn't named interim coach when Hiller took over. I guess he has some head coaching experience in the NHL, so he was a little bit annoyed by that. Which you understand, you get that. So it's totally understandable. And so then you move on to so now there's an open spot on their bench for an assistant. So I'm not really sure. I have no idea where they're going to go with that one. Where was I going to go? Oh, okay. Also I have written down Marco Sturm's name. He was the head coach for the Ontario Reign the past couple seasons. Has the Reign playing really, really well. He made the Western Hockey League final in the Calder Cup. Like I said, I was hoping that they would win it, so they'd have to end up playing Hershey, and I could see them playing Hershey, but it is what it is. They get swept away by Coachella Valley. But that's one name that I was surprised I didn't hear too much about. Being interviewed by the Kings or whatever for the head coaching job. Even though I did expect it to be Hiller, but I didn't hear if Marco Sturm was even interviewed. Maybe he was. It just wasn't put out there. I'm not really sure. But that's one guy I'd keep my eye on if the Kings are able to retain him as the Reigns coach, because he wants to be a head coach. He's not going to be assistant. He said either he's going to be a head coach in the NHL or a head coach for the Ontario Reign. So those are the options for him. I'm not sure how many teams are still looking for their head coach or not, but that's one guy where if things go south with Jim Hiller this season and maybe into next or whatever, that's one guy I keep my eye on. Possibly getting a bump up to head coach. And I said it last week. I said the reason I expected Hiller to be hired was because Rob Blake's coming in. It'll be final year of his contract. It's hard to see them going out and getting a big name coach or a big name coach wanting to go anywhere where the GM is on his last year and kind of like a lame duck kind of situation or whatever. And so they retained Hiller, and so that's why I wasn't too surprised by it. But the one thing I was surprised that they gave him a 3-year deal. That's reported by former NHL goalie Kevin Weeks. So it's a 3-year deal. Kind of surprising. That being that the Kings are paying their last 2 head coaches still, Tom McClellan and oh crap, I can't think of his name. But anyway, they're paying the last 2 head coaches yet. So for a 3-year deal for Hiller, this is his first official head coaching job as well. You don't count the interim head coaching part. So this will be his first head coaching job in the NHL. So good for him. He's been a head coach before, but nothing really significant junior hockey, and he also coached in the Western Hockey League as well, the minors. So that's our new leader. That's our guy now. So let's see what happens. I'm all for it. Like I said, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. What they do offensively. I think that's a big thing for me. How are they able to generate more offense without losing too much of their defense? It's going to be tough, but they have the players to do it. They have a couple of young studs that you could potentially see up. And with that being said, I'll move on to the Ontario Reign. Like I said, the Ontario Reign swept out of the Calder Cup Western Finals by Coachella Valley, the Firebirds. To be honest with you, 2 of those games, I feel like the Ontario Reign outplayed the Firebirds, but it doesn't really matter. It goes by what's on the scoreboard. So I was actually able to listen to 2 of those games. It was pretty interesting. I never listened to a minor league hockey game, but just hearing different names and also hearing some names that of some up and coming prospects that were up with the Kings this year for a short amount of time. Paul Spencer says Chelsea has an in-service day off from school, and she wants to know if the Bat Fry received the package. The Bat Fry has not received the package yet. I did not get any mail yesterday, so I'm expecting maybe a package today. So if I get it today, I'll be wearing the shirt tomorrow, and I can show it off for you guys. It should have been here yesterday, but we're a little bit slow in this area, so I definitely expect it today. Especially only coming from Pittsburgh. Could have hooked it up to a pigeon, and would have been here by now. So a couple of those prospects that I was talking about from the Ontario Reign, Brant Clark. We've seen him up, really exciting defenseman, offensive-minded defenseman. He still has to work on being a defenseman. Offensively, from everything I've heard, he's ready for the NHL, but defensively, still kind of a little bit green, a little bit wet behind the ears. Alex Turcotte, another guy, a scorer. he was up with the Kings. He did well. Akil Smith, he was up for a short amount of time with the Kings. He didn't do all that bad. And Samuel Fogimo, um, he was up also with the Kings and also looked good. I expect a couple of these guys to be up on the main roster next year. I expect Brant Clark definitely, and maybe Fogimo or Turcotte. I could see Akil Smith maybe staying down yet. I think he might be the youngest of them. I could be wrong about that. I don't know why I think that. Maybe because of the name Akil, it sounds really young. I don't know. But I definitely expect Brant Clark to be up next season, especially with kind of Matt Roy being up in the air. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be signed somewhere else? Is he going to re-sign with the Kings? I don't know. A lot of that, a lot of what happens with Brant Clark is going to hedge on that. Especially with the way Jordan Spence, played this season as a I believe he's a rookie this year. Played really really well defensively. Jordan Spence did so, but there's definitely a spot for Brant Clark, and hopefully we get to see him. I want to see what this kid can do as a full-time player. It's going to be exciting. All right. So moving on from the Kings, that's all I have for the Kings. Not a whole lot going on. Everything's pretty quiet right now until the Stanley Cup's over, pretty much, and then we'll start seeing maybe some roster moves and stuff like that. All right. So before I continue, a sip of iced tea for the working man. Moving on to the Stanley Cup Conference Finals here. We already had one game in the books, like I talked about when I did the out-of-the-box scores at the beginning of the show. Let me know what you think about that, too. If you were able to catch a show, let me know what your thoughts on that are. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Would you add to it? What would you do with it? Should I make it a separate show? Like a 5-10 minute clip show or whatever, like where I just go off, I read the scores and maybe some key stats from each of those games. It's something I can do. It'd only take 5 minutes to do. It probably wouldn't be live. It'd be just a recording. But let me know what your thoughts on that are. Maybe I'll just continue doing it on each of my shows and go from there. I think the dog's howling. I'm like, what the hell was that? All right. So one game's already in the books. That was the first game in the 7-game series. The Rangers and the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers win that 3-0. Bobrovsky looked fantastic from what little bit I did see, and of course you have your usual suspects scoring for Florida. Kachuk and stuff like that, and for Hagee, even though it was an own goal. So looking at what they did last series, the Rangers defeated Carolina in 6, 4-2. The Rangers were up in that series 3-0. They didn't lose a game at that point in the playoffs. They swept the first round. They come out, up 3-0 real quick on Carolina, but Carolina battled back, forced a game 6, and that's when the Rangers came out with it. So far, their top scorers throughout the playoffs: Zibanejad, 14 points, 4 goals, 11 assists. Trocheck, I can't read my handwriting, 6 goals, 8 assists. Panarin, 4 goals, 7 assists. Lafreniere, 4 goals, 6 assists. And Kreider, 7 goals, 5 assists. Igor Shesterkin, 8-3, 2.37 goals against, and a save percentage of .926. He's been outstanding. He has been fantastic. He's been the most consistent goalie throughout these playoffs. So the Rangers want to win. It's going to be on that man's shoulders. So, but he's been outstanding. Florida, they were able to beat Boston in 6 games. Another tough series. Florida ousted them last year in the first round, and they knock them out this time in the second round. So Boston's feeling that Florida heat. So let's see what happens. Next year we get kind of like with the Kings and Oilers. Where the Kings lose to the Oilers 3 years in a row in the playoffs. That unfortunately is the first round. But to the Bruins lose 3 years in a row to the Florida Panthers. We'll have to wait till next year to see that. But it's I think it's funny. Good old the Beaners from Beantown walking back home with their head down. Some top scorers from Florida. You have Kachuk, 5 goals, 11 assists. Barkov, 5 goals, 8 assists. For Hagee, 7 goals, 6 assists. The goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky, like I said, outstanding. He's one of the top line goalies. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch Bobrovsky versus Shesterkin. Just two fantastic goalies, at the top of their game, going back and forth. It's one of those series that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You're going to see a lot of great saves, a lot of whoa type saves. The crowd going nuts. So keep your eye on the netminders. So look on the other half. You know what? I did messing this up here. I forgot to switch it over. I got my boy Paul Spencer to hook me up here, and I'm boning it. There we go. We got the brackets here. He did a great job with this. Thank you, Paul Spencer. Let me pull this down here, the banner, so you get the full effect. There we go. Full effect, baby. Look at that. All right. So looking at the Oilers in Dallas, the Oilers, they were able to get by Vancouver. It took them 7 games. A terrific series there. I thought Vancouver was going to pull it out, but Edmonton, they're up 3-0 in that game 7, and Vancouver just couldn't overcome it. They did scratch and claw their way back in the third period, made it 3-2, but just couldn't find that third goal to push it to overtime and stuff like that. And the Stars, they got past the Avalanche in 6 games, 4 games to 2. Another great series. Any one of those teams, between the Avalanche and the Stars, I could have seen going and winning the Stanley Cup. Just torn between those two teams. And of course, I think the Oilers are uber talented. I just don't think they're as deep as these other teams roster-wise. But when you have the stars that the Oilers have, it's just crazy. I mean, so I'm reading off the top scorers here for all these teams, and then you look at the top scorers for Edmonton. It's ridiculous. It's just the difference. Points wise, they put up a lot of goals. They also give up a lot of goals. So looking at the Oilers, top scorers, douchebag Draisaitl, 8 goals, 16 assists. I can't stand that guy. So Connor McDavid, 2 goals, 19 assists. You got to give it to the Kings and to the Canucks. They really have held Connor McDavid in check goal wise. Even Vancouver, for the most part, scoring wise, period. Between assists and goals, I think the Kings had him at 1 goal and 11 or 12 assists. So you look at it like that. Vancouver in 7 games only let McDavid get 1 goal and 7 assists. And say something like that. They've been doing a really good job on McDavid, which not many teams have done ever. Bouchard, 5 goals, 15 points. Nugent Hopkins, 4 goals, 12 assists. I meant Bouchard, 5 goals, 15 assists. That's what I meant to say. Nugent Hopkins, 4 goals, 12 assists. And Zach Hyman, 11 goals, 2 assists. And most of those goals came in the first, I guess maybe half. I think he had 6 goals against the Kings in the first round. So then looking at the goalie, Stuart Skinner, 7-3, 2.87 goals against, and an 8.81 save percentage. They had to go to the backup last series against Vancouver because Skinner was just getting eaten alive. So I wouldn't be too shocked if they have to do that again in this series against Dallas. Dallas is no joke. Dallas is a very, very good team. So like I said, they beat the Avalanche 4 games to 2. Their top scorers, Heiskanen, 5 goals, 8 assists. Robertson, 3 goals, 9 assists. Johnston, 7 goals, 4 assists. He's been huge, as well as Ben. I can't think of his first name. I should have wrote it down, but he's been huge as well. Throwing his body around, really playing physical hockey. I really like that guy. I wish I could remember his first freaking name. Goaltending wise, Ettinger, 8-5, 2.09 goals against, and a 9.18 save percentage. So you look at these 4 goalies, 3 of the 4 are legit, and 1 is a pretender. Stuart Skinner, and when the Kings were going into that Oilers series, first round. That's the one thing that we talked about, especially on this show, how the one weak link that we could see on the Oilers would be their goaltending. And unfortunately, Skinner played well against the Kings. So it is what it is. All right. So my prediction for these series, I have the Rangers winning. I'll have the Rangers winning in 7. That's gonna be a really good series, a very physical series. I expect to see a little bit more Rempe as this ramps up for the Rangers. Starting to enforce a little bit. Oilers, Dallas. I like Dallas in 6 against the Oilers. That series starts tonight. I like that. Dallas 4 games to 2. And I think it basically comes down to Dallas's depth on their roster, top to bottom. A really good team, and the goaltender. Ettinger. He's a very good goaltender. He had a couple shaky spots there against the Avalanche, but the Avalanche, like I said, are no joke either. Top to bottom, a very good team. But he came up big when they needed him against the Avs. So I like the Stars 4 games to 2, and I think it's going to be a Rangers Dallas Stars Stanley Cup Finals. So we'll see what happens as we move along here, and either way, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. The Dallas Edmonton game, I think it's gonna be a high octane offensive type series. Both teams can really put the puck in the back of the net. And the Rangers in Florida, I think it's going to be a knock them down, drag them out, defensive, physical hockey, physical playoff hockey type games. You're going to get a lot of hitting, a lot of block shots, and puckered up like a butthole. So everything's going to be tight. All right. So that's all I have for this show, the Silver and Black Lair LA Kings edition. So I'm going to go ahead and do my sponsor reads a while and see if I get any more comments. You got Jason Fine, attorney, Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The offices are located on 3 Greensward Lane in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The number there is 856-209-5258. And in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the offices are located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the offices are located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. Or just call 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. And ask for Big Al. Head on over to monkeycoldcoffee.com for all your gourmet coffee needs. They have bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, toasted coconut rum. They have a Sumatran blend medium roast coffee. They have an organic blend coffee called Perulula, Florida, and one of their newest blends, Golden Honey Agave. All fantastic flavors, all worth it. Be sure to check out their swag shop. They got t-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, cold brew pitchers for all you cold brew lovers and iced coffee lovers, K-cup adapters, and don't forget that sweet, sweet Paradise rum cake. And they are also selling barrel-aged honey at monkeycoldcoffee.com. At checkout, use that promo code OOTB Sports for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports for 10% off your order at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Another announcement here. I'm going to keep putting this out there, promoting. Debuting May 27th. That's this upcoming Monday, Memorial Day. Be sure to check out the newest show here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment called Inside the Octagon. Talking UFC, mixed martial arts, combat sports with your boy Paul Spencer and his co-host Josh. That'll be every Monday at 8:30 p.m. only on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Facebook, YouTube, X. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. For me, Join me Saturday, 10:30 p.m., not 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. I'm going to be a little bit later this week. The Atomic Drop Podcast. Me and my co-hosts will be talking WWE Wrestling, King and Queen of the Ring tournament, and the premium live event that will be happening in Saudi Arabia this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can catch me tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. with the Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders edition. I'll be talking Raiders football, of course, and I'll be breaking down their defensive line and also talking about the life and career of Mr. Raider himself, the original Raider, 00 Jim Otto. All right. So also, you can catch me also on Wednesdays, 10 a.m., talking New York Mets with the Bat Cave. So that's all I have for today. A quick show today. Usually I go a little bit longer, but I don't have a whole lot. So there we go. I'll be back again next Thursday talking Stanley Cup playoffs. And if anything else happens with the Kings roster-wise or anything else, I'll be sure to be talking about that. And we'll go from there. All right. So I will see everybody next week. Before I go, I'm going to go throw this up here. Our Twitter handles. You can check me out at SB_Lair_OOTBE. That's on X. So, give me a follow. And Out of the Box Sports, you can check them out on X as well at OOTBox Sports. That's at OOTBox Sports. And both of those are on X. And you can also check, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment on YouTube and Facebook. And their handle for that is at OOTBox Sports. So you want to find Out of the Box Sports anywhere, that's the handle's the same everywhere at OOTBox Sports. So be sure to check us out, give us a like, follow, and please subscribe. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting, for those that commented. And I will see you guys again next Thursday. Be sure to check me out tomorrow morning with the Silver and Black Lair Raiders, Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. with the Atomic Drop Podcast. And then, of course, next Wednesday, 10 a.m. with the Bat Cave. All right, see you guys next time. Go Kings, go.